Retirement is a brand new season of life, one full of opportunities. Time for adventure and relaxation. It's a chance to discover who you are, how you want to live, and how to find enjoyment and fulfillment in this next stage of life. Join retiree advisor Len Haidachok on a journey to understand what's possible in retirement and how to achieve your life goals, hopes, and dreams for this exciting new chapter. This is MaxAMAZING Your Retirement with Len Haidachok.
Hi, we're so glad you're here with us today for another exciting opportunity to maximize your retirement. Len Haidachok is a certified financial planner, practitioner, and certified life coach, and a retiree advisor. He is the founder of Dedicated Financial Services. And on the show today, Len will share his unique perspective on how we should define and approach retirement. Len, so happy to be here with you today. I'm looking forward to this show.
Looking forward to it as well. Thank you.
So we have a lot we want to talk about today, and we certainly want to explain a little bit about you and what it is that you do. So talk a little bit about what it means to be what you call a retiree advisor.
Well, a retiree advisor is someone who has the necessary skill and experience working with retirees to align their financial resources with whatever is most important to them to maximize their enjoyment and experience amazing fulfillment.
Okay, so that's how you define that. Let's talk a little bit about why it's important to you to act as a retiree advisor working predominantly with retirees.
Well, when folks retire, they are in a very interesting time in their life where they have what I call unlimited discretionary time to do whatever they want to do. Mm-hmm. And what's important for folks when they are in this stage of life is to enjoy their retirement, but they also want to make it fulfilling.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about some of the conversations you might have with people when you talk about that whole idea of unlimited time, discretionary time. Right. That's such a big transition from what we're all used to during our working years.
Sure. So first of all, the whole concept of retirement is very much a seismic change in people's lives, right? They're working, they have family, they have all kinds of responsibilities, and they have very limited time in what they can do. Mm-hmm. And when they retire, they have all this free time. And they can do whatever they want to do. I mean, they can literally just about do whatever they want to do. So what they often do is they spend their time enjoying themselves, taking advantage of their freedom, but they have to be careful that they don't spend all their time in recreation activities that may not give them the fulfillment that they want. Right.
Fulfillment is so important. And Len, as you talk about this idea of how we'll be spending our time in retirement, what we'll be doing, how will we find fulfillment, it's so important we have these conversations well before we get to retirement. You want to talk to people before they get to their retirement years, right?
Absolutely. What happens is when people work, they realize that they get money from working.
Sure.
But work provides very important other aspects of their lives. It gives them a sense of importance. It gives them a sense of fulfillment with the work they do. They have a relationship with their employees. They have steady income. They have a lot of predictability in their lives. And when they retire, they lose that.
Right.
And sometimes when they focus just on enjoying the retirement, the things that the work provided to them that was meaningful to them, they're missing. And they need to make sure that they're still capturing that when they're retired.
Right. And Len, as I think about how people might want to spend their time in retirement, I imagine nobody wants to spend their time worrying about what's going on with their financial situation. And that's where some of that financial planning comes in as well. We need to have some of those conversations about where the income will come from, right?
That's absolutely right. So when people work, they have predictable income. And when they retire, depending when they retire, they also have predictable income, right? If they retire before they get to Social Security, maybe they don't have that income. But generally, they also have predictable income, but not as much. Mm-hmm. So they need to make sure that when they retire, that they have financial strategies in place to make up any income gap from their pension or Social Security to meet all their needs and enjoy life the way they want to enjoy it.
So Len, we need to think about what it is that we want to be doing in retirement. We need to have a handle on what that lifestyle will cost. We need to have a handle on where that income will come from. It's quite a puzzle that we need to be putting together, right?
Sure. When people retire, they have some what I call predictable sources, and I call that income from outside sources.
Okay.
So it's typically Social Security and pension. Some folks, they may have an alimony, they have money from a trust, they may have some other sources of income, but the other part of it is using their own personal resources to fund that difference. And how they do that, which accounts to take it from, how it's taxed, which accounts to take it from when, that's all part of that plan.
And so going back to what we talked about at the very beginning, you being a retiree advisor, it seems like the person that we're talking to get guidance on the financial side and the lifestyle side in retirement, sounds like that really matters. We need to be working with somebody who really knows what's going on here.
One of my criticisms, if I may say, about our profession is that the conversation often starts with how much income do you need? It looks at a financial goal.
Okay.
For me, the conversation really starts with who you are and what you want your retirement to look like. And when we start with the conversation of who you are, it becomes more of a discussion about lifestyle and who you are as a person. And that's why my interest as a certified life coach is really valuable for the folks I work with, because it doesn't start a conversation, how much money do you need? It starts with conversation, what do you want to do? But more importantly, who do you even want to be in retirement?
Right. And I know that's a conversation we're sure to have as you talk a little bit about that whole idea of our identity in retirement and who we become as we get to retirement. It's a different stage of life.
That's absolutely right. Because when people work, a lot of times people don't realize is when they're working, whether you're a teacher or a police officer or whatever, you're working through life and you're this career. And then when you retire, what you are, you're a retired police officer or retired teacher or whatever. And so what you are is not that anymore.
Right.
So when you retire, what are you and who do you want to be? That's part of your identity. And as you get involved in different things in retirement, you become that person. And hopefully it's a person that you want to be and not just something you accidentally come into.
I wonder if people are aware of all of these changes that will happen with retirement. Not only what's going on with our identity, but everything really changes on the money side as well. That paycheck that we were working for this whole time, it goes away. Everything is different in this stage of life.
Yeah. One of the problems is that people are not intentional enough with what they do.
Okay.
And I think it's true of everything in life where people, they get, they just fall into things. They fall into retirement lifestyle. They fall into activities they do, and they don't, I call strategically, think about what they're doing and how that ties into who they are as a person and what they want to build into their life.
Right. So it sounds like it's so important to have some of these conversations about planning not only what it is you'll be doing in retirement, but what's going on with the money side as well. We just don't want to lose sight of that. So really important that we get that planning done and that we have some of those conversations. Such important insights, Lynn. Here's how you can reach Lynn and the team at Dedicated Financial Services and get some of your questions answered. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Everybody needs a plan. If Carol's ever going to retire, she needs a plan. So does Bob, if he ever wants to catch a break. Jim and Susan, they need a plan to keep the beat going. And Puddles over there? Yeah, he's going to need a plan too. You? Yeah, you probably need a plan. Whoever you are, whatever you do, you can use a plan for retirement. We can help.
You have a club for every scenario. A driver for the long holes. Wedges to get you over the hazards. And a putter for when you need a touch of finesse. What about your retirement? Will you have enough to play the back nine? Call to set your 15-minute phone visit today and let's find out. Get a second set of eyes on your retirement plan.
Where would you go if you could go anywhere? What would you do if you could do anything? How would you fill your days? Who would you spend them with? When you retire, what will you explore? Let us show you how a complete retirement plan can open your world to endless possibilities. Explore your retirement.
Thanks for joining us today on MaxAMAZING Your Retirement with Lynn Haydachok. Lynn, let's start this segment by explaining to our viewers how it is that you define retirement. And based on some of the conversations we have, I know this means a little bit more than just dollars and cents to you.
Absolutely. You know, most folks, when they think about retirement, they think about the freedom that they have in this stage of life where they can do whatever they want to do. Well, I coined a word I call entirement. And the reason I call entirement is because it really captures what a person has done their entire life and how all the parts of their life really come to this place in this stage of their life that they could really do whatever they want to do.
All right, entirement. I like that. It's a little bit different from how we might think about that. But let's continue to break that down a little bit. How do you walk people through all of this?
Okay, let me just give you the definition. My definition of entirement is that it's the capstone stage in your life journey when you have unlimited discretionary time to enjoy life and pursue your life goals, hopes, and dreams while becoming who you want. And it all starts with capstone. So for me, the capstone, it's like the final step or the coronation or the exclamation point of your life. And it's really a stage in life. It's not a stage of life. It's not a part of life, but it's stage in life. And that stage in life is a process. It's a journey.
Right. And I like when you talk about it being not just the finish line. For a long time, it seemed as if people defined retirement as the finish line. I wrapped up my career, now it's over. But that's really not how you are approaching this.
No, not at all. I think it's really sort of an old school view of retirement.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, I think, is when I look at retirement, my first impressions of retirement was my grandparents, right? So they're working their whole life and they retire when they're 65 years old or whatever it was then. But their life expectancy was kind of short. People didn't live that long.
Sure.
So they retire, they live a few more years and they pass away. That's what it was a couple of generations ago. But now that people retire, they could be retired for 30, 35 years.
Wow.
And some folks, they're retired for as long as they were working.
Yeah.
So it gives you a long stage in life that you can do whatever you want to do with your time.
Right. And the other thing that is different, a lot of people back then would have retired with pensions. There are still some people who have pensions, but it's really a different tool that you take into retirement with you. A lot of people are retiring now with 401ks. Talk a little bit about the difference there.
Yeah. So we're talking about the financial aspect of retirement. So when we talk about the financial aspect of retirement, we have to be thinking about, first of all, what is it that we want to do in retirement, how that ties into who we are, and what do we want to become in retirement? What do we want to dedicate ourselves to? Sometimes that takes money, sometimes it doesn't require money, but folks who may be really interested in applying themselves, maybe learning some skills, getting involved in some hobbies that take money. Or some folks, they want to explore the world, and sometimes they need money to do that. And that's really part of who they are and what they want to immerse themselves in so they can become whatever it is they want to be in their retirement years.
And what I like about that, Lynn, is there are no wrong answers there for how it is that you want to spend your time and spend your resources in retirement. And that's why when we're talking with someone, they need to hear those unique needs we have and really tailor what's going on with our financial plan to that.
Absolutely. For me, retirement is a big discussion between enjoyment and fulfillment.
Yes.
And everyone's going to have a different view of that. And some people, they find fulfillment in their enjoyment. And listen, do what you want with your time. But if you're looking for the combination of enjoyment and fulfillment, you have to think about strategically how you spend your time, how that affects you as a person, and what you're involved in, how that results in you changing as a person.
Right. And you also have a unique approach, what I think is a unique approach. You have this concept called bringing your money to life. Explain that a little bit for our viewers today.
Well, it's my culmination, my financial planning culmination in working with literally thousands of folks and them thinking about what their money means to them. A lot of people are not very strategic with it, but some folks are. And what we want to make sure in my practice is that whatever people's, what I call life goals, hopes, and dreams are, the money aligns with it so that whatever they want from their life, the money makes that possible and empowers those life goals, hopes, and dreams.
Right. Do you have people who come to you and they're a little bit surprised about your approach and where you start versus focusing on the dollars right up front? Are people surprised by that approach?
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. When I have meetings with clients, so particularly when I meet with them for the first time, they get their statements, they talk about their returns. I'm like, I want to know who you are.
Yeah.
I want to know. I don't want to know what your financial goals are. I want to know who you are and what you're trying to accomplish with your life. The conversation with me starts with their identity, and then of course what they want to do with that identity, and then what finances they need to empower whatever part of their life they want to be empowered.
Right. There's so much more to it than just looking at dollars in an account statement, as you've said. And even when it comes to putting together that financial plan, even focusing on the financial side, there's still more to it than just having a statement balance.
Absolutely. When we look at just simply what their life goals, hopes, and dreams are, there's three categories. I call them apexes.
Okay.
Some parts of their retirement that they want to become, a crescendo of their life. And for those folks, there's three different apexes. One is what I call the experiences and relationships. The other is accomplishment. The other one is impact. Mm-hmm. And depending on what that apex is going to depend on how they structure their money. So if they're looking for such things as experiences and relationships, they're going to need income. Okay. If they're looking for an accomplishment, they're going to want to accumulate their wealth. And if they want to do an impact, if they want to have impact with their life, they're going to be thinking about how to structure their money to transfer to individuals or causes that are important to them. Those are completely different financial strategies. So unless I know what their life goals, hopes, and dreams are, I have no starting point to talk about financial plans or strategies, because that's irrelevant without knowing who they are and what they want to accomplish.
Right, because you need to know what those goals are before you can figure out the financial tools that could then help them work toward those goals.
Right.
Is that right?
Exactly, and that's one of my criticisms in the financial planning profession, is there's a focus on tools and there's not enough discussion about who they are. And as a certified life coach, that's where our discussion starts in our meeting.
Thanks so much for those insights, Lynn. It's so important that we think through all those other factors as well. Now, here's how you can reach Lynn and the team at Dedicated Financial Services. And coming up next, Lynn will explain how we do need to factor finances into our retirement plans. We'll have that discussion here in just a moment when MaxAMAZING Your Retirement continues.
Your first day of retirement. What will you wake up to? Freedom? Time? Adventure? Your ideal retirement doesn't just have to come alive in your dreams. Awaken to your new reality. Awaken your spirit, your vision. It's not a dream. It's your next chapter, your future, and it's in reach. Next generation retirement doesn't happen by accident. Plan for your bright future. Awaken to what's possible.
Where would you go if you could go anywhere? What would you do if you could do anything? How would you fill your days? Who would you spend them with? When you retire, what will you explore? Let us show you how a complete retirement plan can open your world to endless possibilities. Explore your retirement.
You have a club for every scenario. A driver for the long holes. Wedges to get you over the hazards. And a putter for when you need a touch of finesse. What about your retirement? Will you have enough to play the back nine? Call to set your 15-minute phone visit today and let's find out. Get a second set of eyes on your retirement plan.
Thanks for joining us today on MaxAMAZING Your Retirement with Lynn Haydachok. Lynn is sharing his insights on preparing for retirement and how to navigate a different stage of life. So Lynn, let's talk a little bit about how Your personal growth in financial services, how does that mirror some of the evolution that you've seen in this industry?
Well, I've been around not as long as the industry's been around, so I'm just talking about what I read and what I studied. But my own personal story is I started in financial services 30 years ago, and I was selling financial products. And I've always tried to do what's best for my clients and putting the best products in place for their needs. But as I grew in the profession, I got involved more in planning. I became a certified financial planner, and I was really doing a more holistic plan. Well, that's what happened in the financial services industry. In World War II days, financial companies, they sold products. Banks sold bank instruments. Insurance agents sold insurance products.
Right.
Investment houses sold stocks and bonds, stockbrokers. And sometime around the 50s, the industry also became a little bit more of a holistic, a planning type of approach, and different institutions sold different products, mirrored my approach. But one thing I'm doing is I'm taking what I think is the next step and is integrating what people are doing with their finances to who they are as people. It's a whole life approach, and I call it the MaxAMAZING Your Retirement life money system, because money has to really come alongside who people are and how they're living their lives. And it's not just financial goals, it's really who you are, how are you living your life, and how you need money to come alongside whatever you want to do and who you want to be.
Right, right. And there does need to be a conversation there when we're talking about what's going on the money side. There needs to be some conversations about what it is we're hoping to do with our retirement money. What are some of those financial goals? And there are different financial tools. We need to make sure that those are matching up with what we're trying to do. Is that kind of how finances figure in here?
Absolutely right. So when we look at financial planning, there's different components of financial planning. I call disciplines of financial planning. It's to generate income or to build wealth or to reduce taxes, minimize risk. It's also to leaving a legacy if that's important for folks. And what happens with financial planning is that all these different pieces integrate. But what I say is before we get to that, we need to think about who people are and what they want to do. And when we're retired, we have what I call life goals, hopes, and dreams. And if you think about all the things you can do in life that will make your life just amazing, it's going to fit into three categories. It's going to be in the experiences and relationships, or it's going to be the accomplishment, or it's going to be an impact. And each one of those has a different set of financial strategies that require different financial tools to accomplish.
Okay, so it sounds like sometimes we're almost putting the cart before the horse with trying to put together a financial plan for the future. We're kind of going about it in the wrong order, would you say?
I would say that. And I think to the credit of the financial services industry, it's not a product discussion, it's a financial objectives strategy, which I'm in agreement with. But before we get that, or to that, we need to have that conversation about who are you? What's important? What's your value system that drives all your financial decisions in the first place?
Okay. For those, Lynn, who are getting into retirement, and one of their biggest concerns right up front is the income situation. What's going on with my income? I don't have a paycheck anymore. What are some of the first conversations you might have to help somebody figure out what's going on with the income? Where is that going to come from in retirement?
Right. So when we're looking at a financial planning approach, we just do sort of an income gap analysis.
Sure.
You know, how much income is coming in, how much you need to spend, right? So then we figure out, okay, there's a gap of X. How are we going to fund that with our resources? That's a typical financial planning approach. My approach is, what are you spending your time doing?
Okay.
What do you want to be doing with your time? Do you need more money to do that? And quite frankly, sometimes the conversation is, what is making your life fulfilling? And are you being fulfilled doing these things that you're spending your money doing, but it's not making a difference in your life? And I'm not saying don't spend your money. I'm saying be very strategic with how you're spending your time and make sure the money comes alongside that.
Right. And I wonder, is it difficult sometimes for people to shift into spending their money when they've been focused on saving their money for retirement for so long? That seems like it'd be kind of a challenge.
Well, for some folks, and everyone's different. Some people have no problem spending their money because that's the way they live their lives.
Right.
Some folks have a little bit of that depression era,
Sure.
and they're not going to spend their money. And I also find interesting is that I hear often when I meet with clients, people said, there's a financial advisor I used to work with, and the advisor said I should be spending more money. But what that advisor didn't understand is that one of the life goals, hopes, and dreams that they had was to leave money to their children.
They wanted a legacy.
They want to leave a legacy. So that objective, hey, I have more money for you to spend with a financial plan, doesn't resonate with who they are.
Right.
There's just a total mismatch between who they are and the financial goals. Forget about the financial plans. The financial goals are off strategy for who they are as individuals.
Right, and that whole idea of legacy, that is an important piece of this conversation. Thinking about what's going on with your income. We haven't even gotten into some of the other areas such as healthcare and taxes. There's so much to go through and so much to think about, Lynn, as we're preparing for this next phase of life with retirement.
Absolutely, there's a lot of things going on. And one thing that I also should point to is the whole idea of accomplishment.
Sure.
Some folks, they don't want to spend their money because a sense of who they are is what they've accomplished with their wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And again, do what you want, but for some folks, they feel accomplished by having money. And if they're spending money, they don't have as much money. So for them, it's just important to accumulate their money because they see their self-worth from that. And we have a conversation about that as well.
Yeah. Lynn, what would you say is your biggest takeaway for our viewers today as we've been defining retirement in this new phase of your life?
Well, for me, it always goes back to two things that people want in retirement. They want to have an enjoyment, they want to have a fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a balance between the two of them, but there's also intersection. Well, we could be fulfilled by things we enjoy, but it really talks about, from my perspective, how the way we do life needs to resonate with who we are as individuals. We have to be very intentional with what we do and what's important to us.
Right. Really good insights today, Lynn. Thank you so much for your time here today. And thank you for watching our show today. Here's how you can reach Lynn and the team at Dedicated Financial Services. For Lynn, I am Jen Rezac, wishing you a great day and a max amazing retirement, and we will see you next time.